In this episode of Rooted in Retail, I am talking to Jennifer Luna with the Kindship. Jen is a client of ours at Crystal Media. She is doing incredible things. The Kindship basically represents, I believe, 5 different businesses. You'll hear more about it in this episode. And so because she's got these 5 different, most of them are retail stores, she has lots of operations happening and teams and different locations. And so, of course, we're talking about it in this episode. If you have multiple locations, you're looking to expand and grow, whether it's your team or your locations, this will be a great episode for you. Jen talks about how she's getting it done, leadership advice, the software they use to really keep them all on the same page and streamline their efforts, which I think is critical. Jen also talks about the importance of coaching and mentorship. And she also talks about the Credit Card Competition Act, which I think is really important for you as a retailer to know about. So we'll talk about what it is, how Jen's involved, and how you can get involved as well, all in this episode. It's packed, and we're in person at New York Now, which I so love. So if you get to watch this, you'll get to see us in person. Before we dive in, here's a little bit more about my guest. Jennifer Luna is the owner and operator of the Kindship, a family of boutique gift shops in the greater Tacoma area, including Paper Luxe and the Curious Bear toy and bookshop. With a commitment to helping customers celebrate their loved ones through unique gifts and greeting cards, she leads her woman-owned and operated business with a focus on kindness and community engagement. Her expertise in retail and her passion for creating memorable shopping experiences have made her a respected figure in the local business community. I love Jen. I love this conversation. You're going to love it too. You're going to get a lot of value, get some paper out. You're going to want to take some notes on your phone app or write them down. And let's dive into this episode. Welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis. Here we have engaging and informative conversations with successful indie retailers and industry experts. Together, we learn, connect, and grow. Don't miss our live after the show every Tuesday night in the Rooted in Retail Facebook group. All right, here's today's episode. Jen, welcome to Rooted in Retail.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I'm thrilled you're here. And we get to be in person.
I know.
We are at New York Now. I want to give a big shout out to New York Now. If you sell gifts, you've got to come to this market and check them out. And they're online. You can check them out at nynow.com. Jen, before we dive in, Tell us a little bit about you and your retail journey.
Yes. So walking in here, I've been here a few times since, but my very first trade show was the National Stationery Show here, because we started as a stationery store, technically 12 years ago, brick and mortar 10 years ago. And so we started with a stationery store. About 6 years in, there was a space next door, and we didn't want somebody boring to move in next door, so we took our next best-selling category, which was our kids department, and so we just made a toy store. And then a couple years later, we added another Paper Luxe, which is stationery, but it's morphed way more into gifts, but heavy in paper and greeting cards. And then we added a baby store next to that one called Little Luxe. And then we also needed storage space, but the only space we could rent was too big. So we built a little wall and made an event space so people could come celebrate bridal showers, baby showers. So we've got a handful of stores. I'm always looking to grow. We're about 10 to 12 years in, depending on how you look at it, and we have 20 employees, which I'm really proud of.
Awesome.
Because I started it with my mom.
Okay.
And it was just us for 6 years.
Wow.
And now we've got 20 fabulous women that work for us.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats on the
Thank you.
growth and expansion. It's very cool. And this is all in the same building, right?
So one Paper Luxe and the Curious Bears, our toy store, those are in one location in Fircrest or Tacoma, Washington. And then the other ones are about 10 minutes away, but it feels like a whole different country because it's across the toll bridge in Gig Harbor, Washington. So then we have another Paper Luxe, the Little Luxe baby, and the event space.
Okay.
So 2 locations.
Okay, very awesome. And we're going to talk about how you're managing all this because you've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So you've successfully started and grown multiple locations under the Kindship umbrella. Can you share your journey of expanding into these locations and a few of those challenges and rewards that you've encountered along the way?
Yeah, I didn't really have a whole lot of retail experience coming into this. I always knew I was going to start my own business. I was a nerd. In 10th grade, I was competing in business plan competitions.
Oh, I love it.
And, but it took me a long path to get to know what I wanted to do. And it started with not being able to find really good gifts and paper products for clients I was working for. So it kind of morphed into that. And then when we were looking at the space that was available next door, brainstorming all the things that we could make it, I have 3 kids. Okay. So that definitely lended to the toy store. But I had no idea what I was doing there either. And then in event space, I've never done that. Baby, I've never done that. That's been a new one because it's clothing and you have to buy it like a year out. So there's been a lot of learning experiences along the way, but my motto is just do it and figure it out as you go.
Yep.
And I think that's, caused a lot of stress probably along the way, but most people get stuck in like, I don't know the answers, so then they just don't move forward.
Yes.
And I think that's been a key to my success is just figuring it out as you go and not stressing about it. Maybe a little stress.
Right.
Not, you can't let it stop you.
You can't. It's so true. Marie Forleo says everything is figure-outable. Yep. Which I so agree with. And I'm also convinced, I even said this in an earlier podcast, that nobody has it figured out.
No. No one does.
Yeah.
No one
so
does.
We're all just kind of trying to figure it out and make stuff up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, with the rise of omni-channel retail, how have you integrated your brick and mortar stores with your online presence, and what advice would you give to other retailers looking to strengthen their omni-channel?
Yeah, I came from a web background a little bit and email marketing, so I had that knowledge in my head, which I think helped tremendously because I've been with Shopify now over 10 years.
Okay,
so when I moved to brick and mortar, we switched from, I don't even remember what it's called, something to Shopify, and we had like in-store pickup before COVID happened. So when COVID hit, we were just already set up, ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think that was the huge key to our survival through COVID. But I think when I started 12 years ago, you didn't need to do that. A lot of mom and pop shops didn't have anything. Now I think it's essential. If you open a store and you don't have a website, what are we even doing here at this point? Doesn't mean you have to sell everything online. I know certain businesses it doesn't lend to. But for our business, where we have lines, like from shows like this, where you can find it, not necessarily at every store, but you can definitely Google any product and probably find somewhere. So it's important to be online and integrate all the things like email marketing. That's the biggest thing I tell people when they're starting out is get on that email, get a list and email them once a week. That's the biggest thing I've made customers and community and money from, to be honest. Is just doing that. So you have to hit them from every channel, and you can't be afraid of hitting them too many times.
Yeah.
Sometimes new team members join and they're like, we can't send an email every single week. We definitely can't send 2 in a week. And for having a sale, they need to know that. And if they're not going to respond to it and they don't want that many emails, they're not your customer anyway.
Exactly.
And you gotta hone in on that customer and then find where they're at and hit them all.
Yeah, you're doing a disservice by not saying anything.
Yeah.
We talk to a lot of retailers who say, we've been in business for 50 plus years and people still come in and are like, are you new here?
Yeah.
The best kept secret. And part of that best kept secret is not promoting, hiding, not leveraging. I know, so you do email, I see you've got multiple social media accounts because you have multiple brands. How do you actually manage that? Do you have one main person or does it?
That's been a lot of trial and error.
Okay.
Every time we open a new brand, and at one point we had a home store, long story short, our landlord kind of took away our space because they jacked up our rent. But so we had at one time 5 different Instagram accounts and 5 different Shopifys and all the things. And we've learned that more is not always better, and it confuses the customer because they'll come in shopping one store, and although they're right next to each other, they want to check out all at once. So over time we've learned, and now we've pared it down. We have the Paper Luxe account that manages all the locations, the Curates Bear account. And then I'm so fortunate to have an amazing team. Maddie and Ann are my 2 right hands. Ann is for the toy store and Maddie is for Paper Luxe. And they both have taken over all of social media. I get on and do personal stuff to show my face and they handle all of the rest.
Awesome.
And they own that part. It took a little while to learn my voice because I feel like it's important to have my face in there because that's what people initially came over for. But now they fell in love with those 2. Everybody thinks Ann owns the toy store. And they come up to Maddie in the street and they're like, Maddie! And she's like, oh my gosh. I was like, see, people do love to see your face.
Yes.
So I think relinquishing control sometimes on that is a really good thing.
It is.
But we also use technology like Tailwind to pre-schedule a lot of things. We use a lot of technology
Okay.
in ours to keep organized, stay ahead of the game, ever evolving.
It's ever evolving.
Always.
Hence why I have a conference called
Yes,
Evolve.
which
Which I know you
I
were
loved
at.
it.
Yeah, good. But this is where I feel like that's encouraging to maybe somebody listening that you can let go. You can have somebody
Yes.
on your team, and ideally they're in your store that is doing the social. I think a lot of people are worried about letting that go because, well, how will they do and how will it look?
Yeah.
And there is a side of if Maddie or Ann left you, then what? Because they are kind of the face. But
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're still showing up too. And
Yes.
so I like that balance, and I think it makes it a lot easier on you to have that support.
It's made a world of difference.
Yeah.
Like, it's just hard to always be on too.
Yes.
And so to have that be shared amongst us is great. And we're trying to bring in other team members. We've been jumping on the ridiculous Reels trends and just making the dumbest ones we can. But it's been so fun to pull in other team members that are like in the store, because we're all in the store here and there, but the customers see the staff members that are there all the time. And
Exactly.
so I think it's important to bring all of them in.
If you're looking to amplify your results, things like get more people to your events, more foot traffic, grow your email list, more website visitors, more local awareness, then we can help you at Crystal Media. We have a Facebook and Instagram ads agency. This is a done for you service and is typically best for retailers that have a physical storefront, because we are pros at driving foot traffic and local awareness, that are doing about 600,000 a year in revenue or more. So if this is you, if you're looking for those results, you want that support, you want a dedicated person to help you grow your store, then you can go to crystalmediaco.com/ads, ads, and learn more about our ads management offering. Right there, you can secure your seat. We are boutique, so we only work with a small amount of retailers. So you could secure right there, or you could book a call with Pauline and she can learn more about your store's goals and what you're looking to achieve to make sure that we can help you get there. So go to crystalmediaco.com/ads to learn more. It is.
I don't know.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about systems here with your social.
Yeah.
And I want to go more into kind of the organizational systems that you have to just keep everything running smoothly at all your different locations. Break it down a little bit on how you're managing that.
That's taken a lot of trial and error too.
Okay.
I love a good project management system, but I found maybe what works best for me personally isn't what works best for a team of 20. So we've tried a few different ones. We've landed on Trello, which works really well because it's just so intuitive, and the team has it open on every computer at each shop. We all use it on the leadership team. And so any new information about products or something happening in the stores, that all goes on there. So when somebody starts a shift, they immediately go, they look at their tasks for the day. There's checklists in there that are reoccurring. Try to use the technology that just has it all on auto every single week.
Yeah.
And then we also use Slack. Slack
Awesome.
was life-changing because you're emailing, you're texting. Slack is everything all in one.
Yeah.
And so we have different channels, one for each store. So if they just need to talk to each other, one just for the leadership team. I think those two paired together is, and then Google, all the things Google.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what we
Are you
use.
guys using Google Drive to store
Yeah.
different
Google
documents?
Drive, Google Docs, Google
Okay.
Sheets, it's all on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's so funny. I am new to Slack. I just joined it this
yeah.
year because of a mastermind I'm in, and
Yeah.
that's how we communicate. And I'm like, I just love this because
Yeah.
it's like texting, but I'm not
Yeah.
bothering somebody in the tech. And we have our different channels, like you're saying. It
Yeah.
makes it so easy. So I feel like somebody who's listening to this that has multiple
Yeah.
either stores or a bigger team,
Yeah.
really great tool.
And it's free. We use the free version. You can do the paid, which if you need it to save like history, but we use Trello for anything that needs to live somewhere.
Okay.
So
That's the permanent place. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So with multiple brands, you need to efficiently product source
Yes.
too. So how do you approach sourcing unique items that your customers love?
this has also been evolving in the last couple of years very much because I used to do all the buying. I'd go to all the shows myself. I think that's part of the success of a lot of these little stores is the owner's vision of curation. And so people know when they come into one of our stores that it's going to be the right product mix.
Yeah.
And so that is really hard for me to let go. But now that Maddie and Ann have both been with me for 6 years, more than 6 years, I just sent Ann and our store manager, Kat, for the toy store to Astra, the big toy conference.
Nice.
and they did it all by themselves. I had a daughter graduating high school and I couldn't be there, and they did amazing. So I still approve all the orders, but they know what I would approve and not approve, so they don't waste my time. But then they're not afraid to come to me too and be like, you need to do this. Everybody's asking for it, or this was the hottest thing.
Good.
And then Maddie and I go to trade shows like New York Now and the Las Vegas show in Atlanta. We also shop a lot on Fair, constantly online. We're constantly looking for new local vendors too. That's like my favorite part.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard because they're newer and they don't know how the world works on wholesale. And so there's a lot of coaching there, which that part brings me a lot of joy, helping them learn the ropes, because when you start, you know nothing. And so like when we came to the first show at the Jadets, we walked in and we were like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's so overwhelming. Now I can walk the floor and
now you know what you're doing.
And it's easy.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the importance is just putting in the money to go to some shows if you can. If you can't, that's understandable. I think having multiple businesses generates a little more revenue to allow me to go to more shows.
Sure.
But you've got to be out there talking to people, hearing what people at these trade shows are saying, what's new. And I look at every single booth. My team makes fun of me because I can't like skip a booth. I've got to see everything. Even though if it's not like good, you might find that one perfect thing that everybody else overlooked. So
it's the FOMO of trade shows. Yeah.
So I think you just have to always have your eyes open, your ears open, and you can't stick with what you've always done. Customers are always looking for what's new, either from the brands that you have or new ones. I don't know. It's a lot to keep up with, but it's also the fun part of it.
Yeah.
Every time a box comes in, we now have a warehouse too, and shipments come in and we all get so excited. It's like Christmas morning. What is it?
Yeah.
And then you open it all. So
exactly. Yeah. And then hopefully you're documenting that and putting it on social
always.
And all of the things, right? Yeah. It's so good. Now, I know that mentorship and coaching are crucial aspects to small business, personal growth. Can you discuss how mentorship has played a role in your business journey, both as a mentor and a mentee, and the impact it has had on your growth and success?
Yeah. Like I said, come from a background where I worked in the space of coaches and consultants, I knew some of the benefits, but I also at the same time was like, I don't know, that just seems like so much money. How do people spend that money? I don't get it. But then flip side, now that I'm on this side, like I'm in a group called Master Shopkeepers. And that one, when I started, I was still, I don't know, it was about 5 years ago, still learning so much. And the friendships that I've made in that are like, if I saw someone here, we would run to each other and scream and give a hug.
Yeah.
And now that I'm probably one of the more senior members, I guess, in the group, and a lot of them are new people, and I get to answer all their questions and, save them hours of their life making decisions or choices they didn't know about. So it brings me a lot of joy. And then being around some of those like-minded people, you just have to find your people. Otherwise, you're just floating around. Those first 5 years, we didn't know what we were doing. It feels very isolated.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're in competition with everybody.
We do.
But if you can find a group where, I don't know, the good ones, it's not competition. You're all rising each other up. So that's been a big one for me. And then recently, in the last year, I've taken on a leadership coach, because going from 0 employees to 20 employees is no joke.
Yes.
And I always thought I was a good leader, and then you get 20 people and you're like, wow, I really know nothing, because there's so many personalities.
So many, yeah.
And your job totally changed from doing social media and going to the trade shows. Now I'm doing HR and payroll and managing everybody's emotions, which is important because they're my team. They're what makes my business go and grow. So the leadership coach has been such an amazing help. We've set up all these systems for hiring. Like my general manager at one store, she's been looking for a job in HR for a very long time. So I knew it was coming. She kind of stepped in to help us out. And so she finally found something and gave us notice. And normally I would be panicked. But I'm like, no, we have the job description here. We have this whole outline of that job role.
Yeah.
I know what to do, where to go. So that takes a huge weight off.
For sure.
So,
well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as a business owner myself, I don't want this to sound terrible. Everybody should be replaceable.
Yes.
And so, but sometimes that does happen where somebody is not, or you haven't set those systems in place. They haven't set that position up for somebody to come in. And if anyone's listening to this that has not done that, they're like, ooh, if I left, if I lost this person, my business would crumble.
Yes.
Like they, at this point, are not replaceable.
Yes.
You need to work on systems, And I think that's being a good leader because you help teach them what they need to do in their role
Exactly.
to create efficiencies and documenting your SOPs and if there's automations that they need or support that they may need, you know, I mean, so you've got to have that in place.
It's critical.
Yeah.
And so I have it all in place now. And I'm sure more things will come up, but knowing I have that group to lean on if something comes up is amazing.
Yeah,
so
you need that mentorship.
I have several different groups. And in the toy industry, we have the Good Toy Group, which is this group of like 100 and I don't know how many toy stores. And wow, that Facebook group, you learn all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
So I just think it's invaluable to don't overextend yourself, but get in the ones that make sense.
Yeah.
It'll pay itself back like 10 times.
True. And I think that is a good point. Don't overextend because there are so many groups and you can get caught up in like doing too many things, I think. And then you're like, I'm not even doing my business.
Job. I know.
Yeah.
It's true.
So you got to find your people. And it sounds like you've got some really good groups you're in. I love it. And we work with the Good Toy Group, which we love working with.
I think that's maybe how I found you. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe,
I think so, which is awesome. You've been a vocal advocate for the Credit Card Competition Act legislation in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about your involvement in this advocacy, why it's important for small business owners, and what outcomes you hope to achieve?
Yes. So about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, one of my group members in one of my masterminds reached out and said, the National Retail Federation is looking for some small businesses to help with this credit card act. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. Within 24 hours, I had a plane ticket to Washington, D.C. in like a few weeks for what they call a grassroots campaign. And so this particular one is called the Credit Card Competition Act. I have to think about it too.
Yeah.
And basically, once I got into it, I was like, why is no one talking about this? So on my P&L, I've got, I pay payroll, so my number one.
Yep.
Then rent is outrageous. Number three, and I bet everybody listening to this, if you accept credit cards, number three is credit card swipe fees. So I paid over $80,000 last year alone in swipe fees.
Wow.
And I have no option to negotiate that because Visa and MasterCard have this duopoly, they call it. And so this whole act is just trying to convince Congress to pass a bill to allow competition.
Yeah.
It can get into weedy details, but the idea is just so that Visa and MasterCard aren't taking up everything. And if it could lower it just by a percent, like a fraction of a percentage, all of us would pay, I think they estimated like hundreds of millions of dollars less.
Wow.
So our role is, because the National Retail Federation has members like Walmart and Amazon, but then they also have some small businesses. And the idea is we go to Congress. This was like the most exciting experience.
Yeah.
They take us on Capitol Hill and we go in our Congress people's office of the senators and representatives and we pitch about this program and why they need to listen to us. And they will listen to small businesses and they'll listen to us because we're their constituents. They're not going to care what Walmart cries about, that their fees are too high. Nobody cares. But they do care when it's the fact that I pay them more than I pay myself sometimes. You know? And I could hire a new person. I could pay healthcare. I could donate.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so many things. And a lot of the big banks are opposed to it because obviously they make less money.
Right.
But they just lie about a lot of stuff and they can do it. And so the more I get into it, the more fired up I get. But so now there's a group of us that go, they do these fly-ins and they bring us all there in a time frame where they hope the government will pass this bill. But it's gotten moved 10,000 times. But just learning about all the government stuff has been fascinating.
I'm sure.
So I'm just along for the ride, doing my part however I can, and I'll do it as long as they need me to do it.
Yeah. And so really the hoped outcome here is that there is competition, so there is less fees being taken. Obviously there's going to be fees.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
The big argument is if you do that, you take it away, they'll take away your credit card points, your mileage and all of that. But if you look at any other major country in the world, they all pay around 1% instead of 3%.
Wow.
And they all have a very robust point system. So
interesting.
There's,
Wow. Okay. So then how can listeners get involved?
Yes, I can give you a link to share where you just put in your information and it will automatically generate a letter for you and you can edit it however you want, but then it'll send it to your direct senators and representatives.
Awesome.
So it's really easy. And then if they want more information, they're welcome to reach out to me and I can get it connected to the NRF.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I just got that link from Kathy Cruz because she posted it on Instagram. I'm like, and send it to me. I'll sign.
Yep.
Like, this is so crazy. So we'll link to it.
Perfect.
Send me that link. We'll link to it in the show notes. And I hope listeners get involved.
Yes.
Or-
it's just really easy to get involved. And you
Yeah,
just click some
just
buttons and it helps.
Exactly.
I think the biggest thing I've learned is that I never thought my voice would matter in something like this, but it really does, because if it goes to the person that you literally elected into office, your representatives, they do listen, especially if multiple people do it. So that's why it's important for everybody.
We got to show up and do it. Awesome. All right, Jen, are you ready for the resilience round?
Let's do it.
Okay, best business book.
Without a doubt, Unreasonable Hospitality.
You are my
absolute favorite.
third person now.
I tell it to everybody.
Okay, awesome. Best retail technology, like an app or software?
This one was really hard. I have to go with Shopify, but paired with the Better Reports app, from a retail perspective, that app lets me see all the details that Shopify doesn't give you for whatever reason.
Okay, nice. Yeah, you need that. How do you keep up with the ever-changing retail landscape?
Like we talked about earlier, just getting out.
Yeah.
You can't stay hidden away with your nose down. You got to get up and look out and listen to everybody else.
Yeah, so true. To help retailers be stronger, more rooted in success, what's a branding foundational best practice?
I think you have to meet your customers where they're at. You don't need to be on every social media channel, but definitely be on multiple and the ones your customers are on. So for us, it's Instagram.
Okay, yep. If you had to start your business all over again, what's one thing you'd do differently?
I think I would not look out at what everybody else is doing at all. Even pricing wise, I think I learned the hard way that you got to price what you think your customer will buy. And a lot of times that's way higher than just Keystone.
Great advice. And what do you think the future of independent retail looks like?
I think it looks amazing. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom, but if you don't listen to that, I don't know. I'm still here, 12 years in, loving what I do. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree. How can people learn more and connect with you?
You can go to thekindship.com, spelled thekindship.com, or just follow us at Paper Luxe with an E at the end, shop. That's where I do most of my talking.
Awesome. My talking.
I
love it. Yes, we'll link to those as well.
Great.
Jen, thanks for taking some
so
time
much
and
for
having me. Yeah, this was so good. Awesome.
Glad I could make it.
Yeah, me too. You were a little delayed, but you made it.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Everyone, remember that I'm rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Don't forget to join the Rise and Shine newsletter, which is social media news you need to know, sent via email every Monday morning. Go to crystalmediaco.com/rise to join. And don't miss the newest episode of Rooted in Retail, which drops every Sunday morning.